Bill Spalding back with you here on the Charles River on the Ivy League Digital Network. We move from the Compton Cup on the men's heavyweight side to the women's rowing Charles River Lightweight Invitational. The Harvard-Radcliffe second varsity squad out there against the MIT Engineers. Today's Saturday portion of the schedule, just figuring out the seeds for heats tomorrow. Tomorrow we will have heats around 7 and 7:30. We will have the petite finals and grand finals for both the second and third varsity tomorrow at around 10 o'clock on the Ivy League Digital Network. So the championship of the Charles River Women's Lightweight Invitational will be figured out tomorrow. Today, figuring out seating. Already had the 1V races go off about a half an hour ago. This is the second varsity, Harvard, Radcliffe, and MIT. So the black and white of Radcliffe, 2-0 in duels so far this season. Coming in off a fourth place finish in the Net Cup. They are now rated fourth nationally for Coach Sarah Schwegman in her first season. MIT enters at 1 and 2 on the year. They also raced at the Net Cup. They did not make the grand final. They finished third in the petite final. Running through the lineups, first for Radcliffe in the second varsity boat. The coxswain is sophomore Electra Lang. Junior Serena Blacklaw is the stroke. Junior Ruby Emberling sits in seat 7. Ada Bolosky in seat 6. She's a sophomore. Junior Caitlin McAvoy in seat 5. Junior Erin Walk in seat 4. Sophomore Jasmine Schlichting in seat 3. Julia Baumel in seat 2. She's a sophomore. And then the bow is Belle Evans. For MIT, their second varsity lineup looks like this. Coxswain Junior Priyanka Tawdy in that stroke seat. Junior Tiffany Chen. Sophomore Kate Scott's in seat 7. In seat 6, sophomore Ann McEnroy. In seat number 5, junior Ann Kelly. Seat 4, senior Catherine Potter. Seat number 3 is freshman Alexander Smirkanich. In seat number 2, junior Rachel Osmundson. And the bow is freshman Sophie Blackburn for the Engineers of MIT. Radcliffe and MIT here in second varsity trying to figure out their seeding for tomorrow. There are 5 teams overall in this Charles River Lightweight Invitational. Harvard, Radcliffe, and then Wisconsin, Stanford, BU, and MIT are your 5 teams. You have the top 4 teams in the country. Stanford ranked number 1, BU ranked number 2, Wisconsin number 3, and Radcliffe currently ranked number 4 nationally. Off and running here in this second varsity heat to work into the semifinals for tomorrow. It's tough conditions right now, very choppy. The wind is really kicked up. It will be a tailwind, so once you get out of this chop, it'll help the rowers on each side, but you can see them fighting through this early start. Both Radcliffe's first varsity and second varsity boats made the grand final of the Net Cup. So even though Radcliffe finished 4th overall, they actually finished 4th and 5th. So their second varsity boat had the best finish of any second varsity boat last week at the Net Cup. That's something to look forward to for the black and white of Radcliffe here at the second varsity race today. Net Cup last week was down at Mercer Lake in New Jersey. It'll be the site of the Ivy League Women's Rowing Championships in about a month. Stanford, the defending national champs, has raced in the 1V heats earlier. They will race in a 2V heat later on today. They're the team to try to knock off tomorrow here on the Charles. Stanford has won invitationals in back-to-back weekends, including taking the Net Cup championship. Last year, Radcliffe won the Eastern Sprints. They came in second, just behind Stanford at the IRA National Championships. Again, this season they've beaten Princeton and beaten Georgetown in duels. Came in 4th at the Net Cup, but 2 boats qualified for that grand final. Radcliffe continues to stroke forward here through a devastating wind. It's really blowing now. Knocking some of our paper goods around on the boat here on the Charles. This Radcliffe group, it's a mixed bag of experience and younger rowers. No freshmen, but 4 sophomores And then a number of juniors, including Serena Blackwell, Ruby Emberling, and Caitlin McAvoy. There has been some movement in the top couple boats for Coach Sarah Schwegman and the black and white of Radcliffe. So you have a couple oarsmen in this second varsity race that have been on the top boat at times this season as well. Radcliffe has created some separation. It's a tough chop. They're really having to fight through hard conditions today here against the Engineers of MIT. At about 3 minutes and 15 seconds as Radcliffe approaches the midway point with comfortable open water in front of MIT. Engineers at 1 and 2 on the season performed pretty well at the Next Cup. You'll notice a lot of overlap throughout the teams competing head-to-head throughout the season. At the Next Cup, all of these teams that are here at the Lightweight Invitational also competed. BU and Stanford have competed together for 2 consecutive weeks. This will be a 3rd straight week that the Terriers and the Cardinal are in this same event. And that's what you get when there's only about 20 women's varsity lightweight rowing programs at this level. But it's competitive, and that Next Cup was very competitive last week. Past the midway point, big lead for the black and white of Radcliffe here in the 2V, trying to work themselves into a favorable seed for tomorrow. So the time matters here as well. Earlier on today in the first varsity, BU, Radcliffe, Stanford, Wisconsin, and MIT were all in the thick of things. Stanford took 1, Radcliffe took 2, MIT took 3. And then BU beat Wisconsin in a head-to-head a bit later on. So the top 2 teams in the nation, Stanford and BU, both win their heats. Radcliffe and Wisconsin, 3rd and 4th in the country, come in 2nd. And that's about what you'd expect in the grand final tomorrow, as all those teams will try to work their way into the head-to-head through the heats. Second varsity teams in the preliminaries, you'll see BU, Wisconsin, and Stanford go in the other second varsity prelim. We also have a 3rd varsity race coming up later today. There will be no grand final tomorrow, so Radcliffe and BU just going to go head-to-head at the 3V level today. Now, Radcliffe continues to dominate. They have gotten through the first 1,500 with, at this point, about 5 boat lengths of open water and growing. The second varsity boat stroked by Serena Blacklaw, Ruby Emberling, Ada Belosky, Caitlin McAvoy, Erin Walk, Jasmine Schlichting, Julia Bamel, and Belle Evans with her. The coxswain Electra Lang has kept them in rhythm throughout this first 1,700 meters of the 2000. Well, good race for the Radcliffe black and white, fighting through the choppy, windy conditions, and now a little bit smoother water as we close the finishing stretch. They have continued to stretch their lead. Engineers rowing along at a nice smooth pace as well. Maybe 10 to 15 more strokes for the black and white of Radcliffe. 200 meters to go. They may be the favorites to win tomorrow's second varsity head-to-head in the grand final. They were the top second varsity boat at the Next Cup last week, coming in 5th overall behind just the top 4 varsity boats in the country. Not a whole lot of difference between Harvard's first and second boats this year. They've put up similar times for the black and white of Radcliffe, and they've had a lot of interchanging parts from 1V and 2V back and forth. Radcliffe heading for the flag. They take their preliminary heat in pretty resounding fashion. Through choppy conditions, Radcliffe comes home in a time of 7:14:08. Engineers continue to bring it home. Opening round of the lightweight preliminary invitational here on the Charles River. MIT will race in the semifinals tomorrow as well, as they'll try to find a spot in either the petite or the grand final tomorrow. Bringing their Resolute home, MIT at the flag. They come across at 7:47.53 unofficially, so about a 32-second win for the black and white of Radcliffe. That's a good tempo setter on a Saturday for Radcliffe as part of this two-day event. They will head into tomorrow's semifinal heats early on in the morning in good position to advance to the 2V grand final. We'll have the 3V race coming up next here on the Charles River as part of this lightweight rowing invitational here on the Ivy League Digital Network.